Born near Richmond, Kentucky on Christmas Eve, 1809, Brother Christopher Houston, better known as Kit Carson, grew up to become an American frontiersman, trapper, and Indian fighter of the Old West. Carson's short life was filled with adventures that grew into legends. Here are just a few. He was once framed and arrested for murder, but his reputation was so impeccable, the town sheriff helped him to stage an escape so Carson could track down and apprehend the real killer. After mounting a campaign against gambling in his town, Tom Phillips, a friend of Carson, incurred the wrath of pro-gambling gang members. The gang attempted to lynch Phillips, but at the last second, as the noose tightened, Carson saved his friend's life by shooting the rope that was to hang him. He used himself as bait to lure a murderer out of the lawless Texas Badlands and back into the hands of the law. And finally, at 6 foot 2 inches tall, he was a bare-knuckle, two-fisted fighter who seldom, if ever, lost, even when his opponents were bigger or when he was outnumbered. These are escapades of which legends are made, and while each has been attributed to Carson, not a single one is true. Despite the fact that Carson's life is clouded in legend, some of his real adventures make the legends look tame. Among those adventures, this one is real, was the strangest thing that ever happened to him and which haunted him for the remainder of his life. By 1849, the name Kit Carson was known everywhere in the country. One afternoon that year, the 39-year-old Carson, a member of Montezuma Lodge No. 1 in Santa Fe, was riding with a band of soldiers. They came upon an abandoned Apache camp. Here, Carson found the body of Ann White, who had been killed just minutes before his arrival. Among Mrs. White's effects, soldiers found a copy of the just-published dime novel Kit Carson by Charles Averill. The book detailed the larger-than-life adventures of Carson, woodsman, hunter, guide, mountain man, and Indian fighter. Carson could picture Mrs. White reading the book in captivity, knowing her Superman was nearby and expecting rescue at any moment. He felt he had failed her and cursed Kit Carson the legend. The image of Mrs. White's body and his inability to help plagued Kit Carson for life. He spoke of the event in his memoirs as follows. We finally came in view of the Indian camp. The commanding officer ordered the men to charge, but the order was too late for the desired effect. In about 200 yards of pursuing the Indians, the body of Mrs. White was found, perfectly warm, had not been killed more than 5 minutes. Shot through the heart with an arrow, she evidently knew that someone was coming to rescue her. It was apparent that she was endeavoring to make her escape when she received the fatal shot. In camp was found a book, the first of which I had ever seen, in which I was made a great hero, slaying Indians by the hundreds, and I have often thought that as Mrs. White would read the same, knowing that I lived near, she would pray for my appearance and would be saved. I did come, but had not the power. Later, when the soldiers suggested giving Mrs. White's book to Carson, he replied, "If you do, I'll burn the damn thing." For the Whence Came You podcast, this is Steve Harrison with the Masonic Minute.